And then one of my tias or my mom or an adult runs into the cabin and they're like, where's the video camera? Where's the video camera? And we're just like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. And if you're not new here, well, welcome back. So today is day 2 of the 31-day series, Ghosts Glam. We figured out a name, you guys. And yesterday we kind of got the series started. You know, this one is just gonna be me doing my makeup. The series is just me doing my makeup and telling you paranormal, weird, creepy encounters I've had throughout my life. And so I'm really excited about this one. We're getting into the good ones. Yesterday we talked about this entity that wants to give my family his gold in exchange for a newborn soul. So if you have not watched that one, go to yesterday's episode and go watch it. Let's dive into it today. We're just gonna do like, I don't know, maybe like a little smoky eyeshadow moment. We'll see what we come up with, but let's get into it. If you've never seen me, you don't know who I am. My name is Ruby Skelton, and on this channel we do stuff like this. We have story times where I'm doing my makeup. October we're talking about scary stuff, but for the normal schedule we're gonna be talking about random stuff, just things that I love, and through it all how I navigate life with the physical difference. If that's something that's interesting to you, I would love for you to subscribe. I have a goal of hitting 100 subscribers by the end of October. We are at 73 right now, so yeah. All right, let's dive into it. Today I'm going to be sharing the story of the time that my cousins and I encountered none other than La Llorona. And I am so excited. So if you've never heard the story of La Llorona, her story goes, disclaimer, this is a story that I was told as a kid. This is a story I grew up. I know movies have made it different, but this is just the version that I grew up with. That she was this beautiful woman from a little small town, like a little rancho. She's the most beautiful woman in her town. And there's news going around circling that this man from the kingdom, I don't think it was the kingdom, I'm just saying kingdom because fairy tales, he was like this man from the bigger city. He was gonna come in and meet all the women and choose his next bride, and it was gonna be this magical thing. And so La Llorona, her name was Maria, and so as the town was getting ready for this man's arrival, she was, like I said, the most beautiful woman in her town, but she wasn't like self-centered. Like, she really didn't think she was the most beautiful girl. She was very kind, very sweet, and you know, just liked by everyone. And so when the man arrives, he's like looking around the town, meeting all the women from the town and loving life, basically, you know, trying to find his wife. And so he sees Maria, falls madly in love with her, and soon enough they get married and they start having children. I think they had like 3 children. And so with that, you know, Maria was so in love. She was young. She was maybe like 19, maybe 18. So she was young, in love, being a mom, best mom she could ever be. Like, she was just so happy with her life. But her husband, the man that came from the bigger city, he kept having to go back into the city to do whatever he has to do, work or whatever. So he would come back and see Maria and his kids and then head out. So when that was happening, when he was going around the city and like leaving the small town, what no one knew, at least no one in the small town, is that back in the city, he had a wife and kids. And so this man had a whole family back in the city, and he had Maria in the town with their 3 children. So he's doing his thing, but one day he does not show up when he was meant to show up. And Maria started to get worried, like maybe something happened, who knows. So she starts to get worried. And she ends up going into the city to find him after a couple of days. Sure enough, she finds him with the other woman. And so Maria freaks out, and she cannot believe it. She's from a small town. She's young. She is madly in love with what's supposed to be her husband. And so she freaks out and loses it, but doesn't do anything there to him or the woman. She just is heartbroken and leaves. She goes back to her small town. And this man, he loved his children. Like, they were his pride and joy. And so Maria goes back to her town, and she decides to take her kids for a little walk down the river. And so as they're in the river, they're walking by the river, she pushes one of her children into the river, and then the other, and then the other. And she ends up drowning her children. And then as soon as she does that, she kind of snaps back. She snaps out of it and realizes that she just drowned her 3 kids and immediately regrets it. And the reason she decided to drown her kids was as revenge to her husband, to the man that cheated on her. Because like we said, these kids were his pride and joy. So she figured, well, if you're gonna hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you by drowning your kids. But like we said earlier, she was such a great mom and she loved her children. So after the rage and all this stuff was gone, she realized what she had done, and she starts desperately crying for her kids, walking down and up the river, trying to save her kids. But it was too late. It is said in many, many Latin cultures, Mexican folklore, that Maria, from that day forward, she roams bodies of water, searching for her children, crying out, "Ay mis hijos," which means my children. And for so long, for all these years, she's been desperately searching for her kids. And any time that there is a crying kid, she assumes it's her drowning kids and goes and takes them. So that's the story of La Llorona, the one I was told. I'm kind of curious to hear what your version is of it. But that's the version I was told. Anyways, so I wanted to give you a little bit of background before we get into my encounter with her, or the encounter that my cousins and I had with her when we were on a family trip in Matamoros, Mexico, or Tamaulipas, Mexico, whatever, same thing. So the story starts with my cousins and I and my tias and my tios and everyone. We used to take summer trips to Matamoros, which is a beach in Mexico, and we would go. I think we went for a few summers in a row. We would all get together, all 10 of my aunts and uncles, all their children, get in my grandpa's van, get in my tia's van, and all head out. It was so fun. And, you know, it was always super, super chill. We would hang out, we would go pick up shells. I actually had a whole shell collection because my grandma and I loved to go shell picking, and it was just overall so fun. We would go for the weekend or a couple days. I don't know, I don't remember. I was young. Like, this is probably when I was like, we went from when I was like 3 to maybe when I was like 7 or 8. And so on one of these trips, it was always a thing that like the kids would sleep in the van as we're all driving over. And then when we would get closer to the beach, Grandpa would go on the beach and open the sliding like van door, and just like we would look at the water as we drove. But I remember there's one particular trip that we took. It was one of the last ones too. So it was, I don't know, I was a little bit older. I want to say I was like 7. So we went. And I don't know why it happened that one of my tias was like in the front seat, or she was driving. I don't know. And all the kids were in the back. And we were kind of falling asleep, kind of not. We were kind of somewhere waking up. And it was dark. It was like middle of the night probably. I don't know. I don't remember. But it was dark outside. As we're driving, my tia brakes super, super quick. Or whoever was driving hits the brakes super, super quick. You just hear my tia scream. So we're all like, what the hell? And then she was like, did you guys see that? All this stuff. And my grandpa was just like, just go, like, keep driving. And so she starts being like, no, like, did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? And we're like, no, like, what are you talking about? We're like in the back seat, just hanging out. And she was like, there was a woman that like crossed the street, like she was just standing there, blah 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 blah, all these things. But we just kind of laughed it off. Like, I remember my cousins and I just being like, she's trying to scare us, because all my tias, like all the family basically, they just love to scare each other. And so we were just like, yeah, whatever. So we go back to sleep. But my tia is so sad that she saw a woman in the middle of the road as we were driving. And so whatever, we get to Matamoros. We get into our little cabin thing by the water, super cute. And we go on about our day. You know, that day we spent it walking the beach. We spent it in the actual water. We loved getting in the water. And so, you know, just a normal family vacation. And that is until it got to nighttime. So at nighttime, the way it would go is like, we would all go into our cabins, and then some of the grown-ups and some of the older kids would go and find like hermit crabs. Just like, it was a thing that they would do. And so myself and my younger cousins and like the cousins my age, we were just hanging out in the cabin with my grandma. And all of a sudden we start hearing something kind of in the distance. And it kind of sounds like a cry. And we're just like, what the hell is that? Like, we were already getting ready for bed. Grandma would be in charge of like getting all the kids ready for bed, and you know, she was showering all of us and whatever. For this particular one, she was showering my sister, I'm pretty sure, because I think I talked to my sister about this earlier. And if you're watching this, text me and let me know, or comment and let me know if it was you that she was showering. I think it was. The point is, we start hearing something, so we're like, what is going on? we think it's our parents, but we're like, why are they crying? So we kind of like are peeking out the window. And these cabins really don't have windows. Like, they have windows, but there's no glass. So like they're just open air. So we're like peeking, we're trying to look, and we keep hearing the crying. And then one of my tias or my mom or an adult runs into the cabin, and they're like, where's the video camera, where's the video camera? And we're just like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know, you guys sure like are the ones that control the video camera. And so we're just like, whatever. But he's like freaking out, or she's freaking out, and we're like, okay, whatever, that's super weird. But when all this is happening, my grandma comes out of the bath where she was bathing one of us, and she starts telling all of us to hush down. And she looks creeped the fuck out. Like, she starts telling all the kids to like stop making noise, to stop talking, to just like lay down and be very, very quiet, or sit down and be very, very quiet. So my cousins and I are just kind of like, girl, what is going on? Like, what's going on? But we're just like quiet because, like I said in the last video, like, my grandma's not one to talk about paranormal stuff. She's a very quiet woman. So we were just like, that's really off and like very out of character for her. And so we just kind of like listened to her, and we're like, hush down, we're really, really quiet. And we keep hearing these cries coming from outside. You hear all my tias and my mom and my tios all kind of like chit-chatting, and they're just like whispering to each other, like right outside the cabin. And they're telling each other like, no, you go, like, you go, whatever. And grandma's just trying to keep all the kids like together. And so, you know, one of my tios ends up taking the camera and going to the beach, because we're like on the beach, but we're far from the water. So he goes towards the water. And then my mom goes and my tias go. And it's a whole thing. Like, at the end, they're all over there. They're all over there. And it's like this whole thing. And we're just kind of like, we're being quiet because grandma's telling us to not talk amongst each other, to not say anything. Like, just be quiet and sit there. And as children, we're like, oh my God, like, is this a scary situation? Like, what is happening? So we're all kind of freaked out. We're all just kind of sitting there in the cabin being all freaked out. And my grandma's like praying. Like, she starts praying. And which, now thinking back on, like, how scary must that have been? Because who just randomly starts praying like really, really strongly? She's like praying above all the children, and just like this whole thing. I don't know what else happened that night, but I guess I fell asleep because that is the last thing I remember from that night. And then the next day, we wake up. Children are so hyped and they're so ready to like go back to the beach and start swimming and all this stuff. But then all my tias and all my tios and my mom and everything, they're all gathered around this video camera that they had. Like, it was one of those like big handheld, not like the big movie ones, but you know, like the 90s handheld video cameras. And so they're all kind of watching something that they caught the day before or the night before. And we're like, what is it? Like, we want to see, my cousins and I, all my teachers, we want to know everything. And so they're just like, no, like, don't watch it. My grandma's like, stop watching it. all these things. And so finally they're like, fine, like you guys can watch it. So we kind of just like start watching it. And everyone's really creeped out. And what was on that recording starts with all of them being outside the cabin, and they're all like, you go, no, you go, what is that? You know, just like trying to figure out who's gonna go to the water and record. And so then that's a couple minutes, and in the video you clearly hear the "ay mis hijos" cry. And as they get closer to the water, you see a woman standing or hovering over the water, just walking towards the shore. And so I remember when I saw this video, I was so freaked out. Like, I was so freaked out. And all my cousins were so freaked out. And that was that. It basically just like her there, and my cousins and I hearing her from the cabin. And I wonder what would have happened if like my grandma didn't tell us to stop talking and be quiet and just sit there and started praying over us. I don't know what would have happened if like we would have gone outside with our parents. Like, so many questions that I just don't have the answer for. So that was the time that my cousins and I encountered La Llorona. And yeah, this was such a fun one to share. I feel like I haven't shared this story in so long. And yeah, I want to know your thoughts. Like, have you ever encountered La Llorona? Do you think that this was actually La Llorona? I asked my mom a couple years ago, and she did not remember this video. And then I asked her 2 days ago, because I was telling her about this series that I'm recording, and she literally said, oh yeah, like that was us trying to scare you guys. But how do you not remember? But then like tell us that it was you guys. And then also it makes no sense, because in the video like they were all seen. So I don't know, unless like my grandma was in it. But like I don't think my grandma would be praying over her grandchildren if she was in on it. So I don't know, maybe it was all prank, who knows. But it definitely did not feel like a prank. And yeah, so I want to know if you've had any encounters with La Llorona. Do you believe in these type of like legends, like leyendas? And if you do, which one do you think freaks you out the most? So with that said, that is all I have for you today. And then tomorrow come back for day 3 of the 31-day Ghosts Glam series here on my YouTube. And like I said, I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of October. We're at 73. So if you could subscribe if you haven't yet, that would be so appreciated, and I'd be so grateful for you. And yeah, leave a comment, leave a like, share this with someone you know loves scary, creepy stories. And tomorrow I'm going to be talking about this entity, this shadow person that has been in my mom's home for as long as I can remember. Not only have I seen it, but multiple family members have too. And so we're gonna dive into that tomorrow. But for now, like I said, subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you tomorrow. All right, stay spooky, stay happy, and keep being the most incredible version of you, because that's all we can do. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.